So, a couple of things about this guy. So first off, again, quick demo with everything. So you should be able to see me in there, right? I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy.
Okay.
So sorry, fellas, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. So you guys got that joke, didn't you? Sorry, good deal. I just want to make sure you guys are awake. So we're literally looking for blue and black spots to either take shape on their own or start moving on their own. The cool thing is I have this set up so there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen, giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. When you get your video back, because yes, you're going to get the full video, that blue dot kind of helps direct your eye on where the coldest spots are in the frame. So it's kind of helping me when I'm spot checking it, and then obviously you when you're watching the whole thing entirely. So does this capture something every single night? It does not, but if we're not recording, we won't capture anything, now will we? So with that said, this is a FLIR Pro 1. What does that mean for you? This is what firemen use to help save people. Like, this is the real deal. This is not a phone app.
To locate.
What's that?
To locate them if they can't find them.
It's a body locator, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I have it set up specifically with, it's just much easier to ghost hunt with the settings that I have set up for it. It doesn't configure anything that isn't there. So speaking of Kyle, we're going to go with you guys. Actually, I take that back. Patrick, we're going to go with you on this one. Sorry. This one actually, he's like, oh, what a jerk. Doesn't matter, you're going to get the video back tomorrow anyway.
Fine.
The next camera.
Any ghost in the tavern?
Oh, cool.
We're going to get a little Ghostbustery.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to give this to, we'll find out. We'll see what's going on. So quick demo with this, you should not be able to see me in that little tiny black screen, right? So, yeah, I know it's pretty dark. So quick little demo, that's no fun, right? Dark screen, let's turn on some lights. So now, I've just lit up 10 infrared lights to make the entire screen purple. So what does that do? This is lights that you cannot see with your own eyes. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would not normally be able to see with our own eyes. So things like orbs show up quite a bit here. You've already mentioned them. This is a new upgrade, so I've only had it for quite a couple of weeks. It's been fantastic so far. About 50% of the times that I've been using this, I've been able to capture orbs just through the spot checks. So again, I mean, I'm talking legit orbs, not actual insects, because I do a lot of debunking first. So Kyle, we're going to go with you on this guy.
Okay.
So hold the handle on that. We're not recording yet.
What's an orb?
So an orb is basically a ghost trying to manifest. So it will show up in circles, different colors. Unfortunately, with the purple lighting, we won't really be able to see the different colors. Right. It's just a matter of movement. And I'll actually show you some examples throughout the night. So usually anything that will kind of has any kind of heightened emotion is where those things would normally start to show up. So I want to get these out of the way. So this is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done.
Right.
We're working with lasers. So these lasers actually light up like a Christmas tree inside of Kyle's camera. So why are we using lasers? Because you can't see the laser. All you can see is the stars on the ground until something actually passes through it. Can everybody see my hand and how it lights up like a Christmas tree? So his camera should be able to see that pretty clearly. So in the event we actually capture movement, and it's going to go through very quickly, I'll give you the still shot from it if I can, and obviously give you the marker so you'll be able to find it. The second laser we're going to be using is red squares. The reason I want red squares and the green stars is because the red squares is if I have something right here, I can put it in 3D software and get a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. Now I've had the red square one for about a year and the software has yet to be able to take in anything, so hopefully tonight is our night. Now because this has to work with the camera that we're using over here, these are both going to go to you.
Okay.
So the pen, you have to hold the button on, and you always want to keep the stars like just touching the tip of your toe, so that way you can keep them in control. And this one actually has a toggle switch, so once it's on, so you want to make sure, you have to be very careful where you point it. There is a laser law in Charleston, don't get Nick arrested. No pressure at all.
Yeah.
That stick one, is that what some blind people use? Is that like a device
I know that they make like super lasers
So put it on your hand.
that are like, they can go for miles and miles and miles.
back of your hand.
But I don't know anything that relates to anybody being blind.
That's the only thing it picks up inside the body.
stick they have
It's just
It could be a
everything's dark,
technology that
body
they
heat,
use.
all that
I'm just not
laser.
familiar with it.
I'm just gonna figure out.
Spirit boxes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, everybody wants a spirit box. Good thing I have 6 of them. So,
Yeah, it's good.
spirit boxes, if you're unfamiliar with them, this is basically a radio sweeper. This is going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations all night long, and it will not stop. So on your TV shows and your YouTube videos, it's normally the white noise that you would hear, and then your host will give you the BS that he thinks he heard in the middle of it, trying to convince you of the same thing. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time. Only mine are set up a little bit differently. First off, none of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time, plus all of the history I'm going to give you. Somebody's going to fall asleep. So I have these set up to be slowed down. It's a different type of method. So basically what we're looking for here is the radio chatter to convey messages back to us. Song lyrics, DJs, commercials. If we hear buy a Kia today, the word buy might actually mean something. Do you get where I'm going with this? And we're going to talk a lot about spirit boxes tonight because there are so many different spirit boxes. I have 2 of these that I'm going to be handing out, but this one is going to record the entire session for us. So you will get the full recording back. Doesn't matter how much we mess with the volume in real time. The person using these is going to be wearing a set of earbuds, preferably one, so that way you can hear me too. You can play with the volume up and down all you want to. So you're going to get the full recording, but I'm going to be keeping track of whatever they hear. I keep a little notepad on me, so you'll get all of the real-time notes on top of my findings when I'm going through the spot check. So I lost your name already. Maggie. You're going to be wearing an earbud. I don't want them back because earwax is gross. Agreed? Yes, good. So the only button you need to worry about is the volume. It's right here. It's a wheel. So undo the twist tie and then start finding the volume so that way you get comfortable with it.
Awesome.
We're going to do another one of these spirit boxes. So, Rachel, was it?
Yeah.
Look at me go. I got somebody's name right. Sorry, Maggie.
It's okay.
Yours will not record.
Okay.
So I'll be relying on you of whatever you hear in real time so that way we can put it in the notes. And again, this is not an easy task. So your wheel is right here at the top. So undo that. Keep your own earwax. Let's see.
I'll just have to tell them everything.
This spirit box we don't actually have to listen to. So this one is going to be, yeah, just like that. It's the logo of the tour. How about that? That's pretty cool, right? No, it's not. So we're actually, this is the Ovilus, basically, that you guys would normally see on TV that actually gives you the words on the screen and reads them back to you. So this is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare you. 80% of what comes up out of this thing is going to be absolute garbage. Like, I'm just going to put it right out there for you. The other 5 to 20%, I'm going to give you the full list, but the other 5 to 20% of things that I find relevant throughout our tour could be relevant to our location, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. Happens all the time. You guys brought somebody with you and you may not have even known it. So it does save all of those terms to a list with timestamps. So if something does come up that's relevant, I'll be able to know where to watch the videos, where to listen to the Spirit Box recordings, see if something else is going to tie into this. So I'm going to clear out the last tour that I did. They had 80 terms. That's been about an average for about a 2-hour term, for a 2-hour tour. So we're going to start off without the name Ron that's going to be on there.
Do we ask it questions?
Oh yeah, we're going to be asking all Spirit Boxes questions.
Okay.
So, Susan, this one's nice and easy, since you're kind of the newbie. All you got to do is hold it.
That's it.
That's it. I will come to you when I want to see the list. Do not show me every single word.
Just gonna hold it.
Yep, you got it. I don't want any
I don't mind ghosts. I just don't want to do anything important at the end. Find out Susan's messed up.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You can't mess anything up. There's no way you can. Let's see. Where am I at with folks?
Did you say that I do these at the same time, or you're probably going to tell me later, or am I
Yeah,
doing them separately?
Either way, it's your tour.
Okay.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
She's like, this is a lot.
Green one.
Choice.
Green one.
If you
Don't
tell me
mess up.
both, I'll be doing both.
Yeah, the green one works.
Red, right,
It
returning.
picks it up pretty good.
Ooh, it's like a little rave.
It'll pick it up.
It is.
but
Your hands
it'll pick
separate.
up
So,
blue,
far
then
apart.
everything
Again,
else,
with
that's
the
about it.
carefulness of that, because those lasers can set off car alarms. I've seen it done.
Oh my
No
god.
pressure at all. See,
No
I don't tell you all
pressure.
this in advance.
Maddie told us that because she would have done that.
Yeah, I would have. 1,000%. I would be like looking in cars and everything. What do they have in their passengers?
So, this spirit box works as an open air spirit box. So basically, you guys can hear like it's already sweeping through the radio stations. So this is one of the older models, and it doesn't, like the earbud piece of this doesn't really work super great, so that's why we use a ball speaker. So Carol, this one's going to be yours. So the only thing you need to worry about is the volume button on yours. Obviously the screen at the top is where it's pointing up, so you would hold up the little side button, give it a second, and it'll actually start giving you some volume out of it. And then obviously when I say turn it down, you want to hold the button down.
Where's the button now?
It's on the side of the ball speaker right there. So you kind of get a feel for it.
White noise and like part of the song
You
every
do.
5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, that's static.
I just heard Ariana Grande. That means something to me.
Right, it's a connection.
The last spirit box, this one's brand new. So my father-in-law is going to be testing this one out for me. This one works completely different than any of the others. It does not record, so hopefully we will actually be able to capture something out of this in real time. The way this one's going to work is it's going to sweep through both FM and AM at the same time. All the white noise that is coming out of the spirit boxes now, this is going to try to eliminate that and give us maybe 10 to 12 terms in our 2-hour time frame together. So it'll be up to Bill to be able to actually hear what those 10 to 12 terms are. And hopefully it's been 75% accurate. I don't want to lose the accuracy of this guy so far. Things like specific names, the word pirate, when I'm telling a pirate story has come out, like this thing has been really, really accurate. So, it does not record. The only thing you need to worry about is the mute button. I'm going to hit the mute button now, just so I can continue talking. Blinking lights need to stay at the top. That way you're on the right side. You got it.
The hell was that?
All right. So, folks. Yes. So you guys have seen these on TV, right? So these are the pretty basic electromagnetic field readers. So they're basically going to pick up any kind of wiring signal. So you're from your cell phone, buildings, parking meters, like those kind of things. This one I actually use to help debunk a lot of things, because a lot of times we'll see the rhythms and the patterns come out of this guy. So basically, in a nutshell, I just need you to tell me what color you see. I already have them memorized, so that way I know what we're getting. But you're getting 2 devices, because this is too simple. Plus, you're too excited. So, and I normally don't hand this guy to teenagers, because they have no idea what the hell it is. So, this is a digital camera. She's basically going to be taking a lot of photos for us throughout the night. You can take pictures pretty much of anything but cars and other people. So, obviously, there'll be laser lights that you can take pictures of. We get a lot of feedback that way and that kind of thing. So, again, you know how to use a point and shoot? Okay, very simple. And it will turn off from time to time. The power button for it is right next to the shoot button. It's upside down right now. You sure you know how to use it? It is upside down.
I don't make a lot of sense, but yeah, I'll pretend.
So, and then you get that one as well. So that way
It's on
you guys
already?
kind of, yeah, it's already on. You don't need to do anything with it.
Can she not take pictures of people in the group, like as they're
I
doing
will.
their
She
show?
should.
She can.
She should.
Selfies.
We'll do group shots. Not so much as that. Get me, but more of like, I have a feeling kind of again.
Yeah, so, again, hundreds of pictures, doesn't matter. The SD card gets erased every single day. So again, if you take 1,000 pictures, I might be a little upset because that's going to delay everybody's data getting back to them, because that's a lot of uploading.
Right.
Not to mention a lot of analyzing for me to be able to go through every single picture. Yeah, no pressure on you either.
That's right.
So, last device. So everybody's geared up, except Matt. I get it.
That's got it.
So this device is actually a multi-function device. So you're going to be the multitasker. The first set of numbers on there, the big numbers, is basically the same thing, Elizabeth, right?
That's
Look at
it.
So it's an EMF detector at the top, but it's in digital format. Anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on and kind of compare it to what Elizabeth has going on with hers. So again, that would be her second green dot. That's the reason why I say 2.5. The bottom number is our ambient temperature based on the yellow probe at the top. Patrick finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it pretty quickly. We don't always have to do that in real time, but we'll just kind of see what happens. The last thing that it has, and we don't always use this because it can be very distracting for me as I'm giving you history, this is what we call a REM pod, a motion sensor. If something gets close to it, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. The closer it gets, obviously the different pitches it's going to give us and the different colors. Obviously I have it pointed down because it's super bright and I'm not about to blind Olivia. So I'm going to turn that part off for now. We'll talk more about that at the next location. But just focus on that big number for me for right now. The top big numbers, yep.
Yep.
All right, you guys made the bag very light for me. Go have fun. Let me know what happens. No, don't go anywhere, really, like you're holding my livelihood.
Right.
And I got obviously the audio recording, so without
Make
that,
sure
you guys,
that is recording, is that correct?
yeah, you're good. It's a square.
So what kind of noises am I supposed to look out for?
We're going to talk more about that at the next stop. Remember, you got to hang on to those questions. See, this is what happens. Everybody has a million questions, and that's okay. That's why I'm here.
Just way too excited.
So, the building behind me. By the way, I'm going to have to chug some water because y'all are going to make me talk and keep me on my
That's
toes.
fine.
Isn't it my job to talk? I'm pretty sure
It's
it is.
hot.
Big John's Tavern. This place is haunted. Of course it is. That's why we started here. It used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Not Kennedy like the president, but Kennedy. So he owned the place, and he played for the 1947 New York Giants. Obviously, he started this bar afterwards because you can see the established 1955 right on the side of the building. This is a new renovation of that building. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. But one night, two guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John slams down his beer. I'm sure it's spilled everywhere. He gets up and he starts pounding these guys into the floor. I mean, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up. After being shot, the only one being shot, by the way, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. Because he just beat the hell out of them. So the moral of the story is you don't mess with Big John, you kick your ass. But he's already dead and gone. So, what's haunting the place? Because he didn't die here. Normally I tell you there's a haunted building behind me and you're all thinking, ooh, who died here, right? No, it's the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. I told you they renovated the place. So, with that said, I'm pretty sure this is a one-liner. He's not supposed to go that way. Just saying. I almost became a ghost. Did y'all see that? That was
Yeah.
pretty close.
God.
See why you guys take leaf side and I take the other side? So, the bullet hole, is what's haunting the place. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. Again, the ghosts are not on the payroll. But in the event something actually starts to affect you that way with nausea, headache, or dizziness, I need to know immediately. Like, it's a very, very big deal. So that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair? That's probably the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long, and some of you just looked at me like, what the hell did I sign up for? So, I know, right? So let's talk about something else. Same building before we move on, just so we can get our minds off of it. Big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from any other tour in town, because we all talk about it, you do now. So the earthquake, this is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. So the wet mantle that's in the middle of the building behind me also goes around the front to the East Bay side, and a piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed him. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street to my right in the middle of the night. Notice I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that story. I have no proof. It's just a great segue, so Olivia's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, she's one of the ones that gave me that, oh, wow, what did we do here? Is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
We are.
Yes.
All right, we're going to follow me this way.
Right.
So let me jump in front here.
You know, if you want to, you can turn that up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Turn it up.
Yeah.
The hell?
Because it's talking to you.
I know, it's talking.
You got to turn it up so you can hear it.
Try to stop the speed that he's making this Harry Styles. All right, we're going to stop here. So, Miss Carol, we're definitely going to keep your volume down here.
Okay, you
part of the
do.
reason why we use earbuds with all of the other spirit boxes, we're definitely going to keep yours muted as well. We are next to the. I'm sorry, did you say something?
Yeah, when we crossed the street, it was a 3.
So you're going to get things from the parking meters. So whenever we're on any streets that have parking meters, we're going to get a little bit of spike because those electrical lines are underneath our sidewalks.
Okay.
But yes, it's going to range between 3 to 5, just so you have that baseline. But good catch. See, he's already on it, guys. You should applaud him. So,
Still got jobs.
right? So this is the big red barn lot where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. So I can't smell them this time of year yet, but soon enough you all will be able to smell them. Can you guys smell them? Because I'm pretty much immune to it. I'm down here 7 nights a week, so we are. Notice my voice kind of got a little bit lower over here because the horses don't like noise. This is their nap time, right? So we are going to keep it down, and we're not going to spend a lot of time here. But when I have a full group like this, I like to stop here so I get to show everybody a little bit more about their devices. So the history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose. So that way we can get right to the devices. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building or a space, I will always try my best with my Ohio accent to slow down on the certain keywords that we commonly hear on spirit boxes in that space. Over by Big John's, it would have been 47, New York, Giants, John, and anything relatable to a bar. Over here, it's delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about these spirit boxes because they are all in play tonight. First off, this is not a Ouija board. This is not television. Everybody wants to ask the same question. Is somebody here? Right? Because that's what everybody wants to do. If somebody says no, Carol, that means somebody's here. So, again, we're not going to be asking yes or no questions all night long. You like how I singled you out on that one? Because you were like, man, that's the question I was about to ask. So, we are not going to be asking those type of questions. Even if you are a skeptic among this lovely party of mine tonight, you want some kind of paranormal proof. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. You will not get paranormal proof out of yes and no questions. It's too easy to manipulate. We want specific facts. We're going after them. In a space like this, I would normally tell you to ask questions that you already know the answer to. Like, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Susan has the word list. So, keep in mind, those of you that are listening are waiting for song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. So the word red might not be available to them, but fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer as what color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to wait to see if there's going to be something to verify what's actually happening in real time. For an example, I'm going to pretend that Susan's list actually has the word art in the middle of the screen right now. And we're going to say, Maggie, here's the number 40. Neither one of those two terms makes sense individually, but we're next to Big John's, where Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You kind of see where I'm going with this, where we're going to be putting clues together all night? It's not going to be a full conversation. It's going to be putting clues together. And some of these things I will withhold information purposely to make sure everybody here has a genuine experience. And that way, if something does pop up, I make sure that I can prove it back to you in your data tomorrow morning. Is that fair? All right, let's talk about cameras. So, Patrick, yours first. You're going to try to do two things for us.
Okay.
First off, you're always going to keep that thing horizontal with the camera on the left. Even when I tell you to stop it and you're going to restart it, make sure you start in that same position. Otherwise, YouTube doesn't know the flippies, and I splice all the videos together so you guys have one video. You're going to try to keep one of us in view at all times. We're going to be the warmest thing inside the picture. That array of color is where that comes from. We kind of want that large array. Otherwise, if you're just pointing at the wall is going to be red when essentially it's blue right now in your camera because I'm in view. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. So the other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason why is because that blue dot will default to the sky because there's no surface. So again, you're going to do your best because sometimes the sky is impossible to keep it out. So just do your best, nice slow movements. The slower the better, just so you know. The other camera, Kyle and Olivia, you guys are working in pairs. Again, I will be looking for orbs from your camera, just so you know, like throughout the night. And we haven't started recording with yours yet because the files are giant. That one actually has to process overnight. Like, that's a big one. So, Olivia, do us a favor, point one of your lasers on the ground. Make sure it's on the ground. Perfect. So, you're not going to be pointing down at it like you are right now. Okay. You're going to actually you're going to keep your light on. I was talking to Kyle. So, Kyle, you're going to actually take 2 steps backwards. Perfect, right there. So really what we're looking for is going to be between the pen and the ground. We're looking for something right here. If you can keep the stars in view for a point of reference, that would be great. But, but you see where a nice level camera is going to make for a much nicer picture. Right. In some places, the lasers are a no-go, just because they'll get Nick arrested for sure. So again, I'll always let you know when the safe spaces are for lasers. See why you always have to point that down first? Yeah,
right,
you'll blind yourself. Right? Yeah. So I'm going to talk more about your particular device, Matt, at the next location, just so we can kind of get moving along. Does everybody have a good gist? I think you know how to take pictures. Have you got any readings yet out of this guy? Out of your EMF?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Matt, have you seen any other numbers over here? Not since we've been here. Okay. And Susan, what's the word on your screen right now?
Right now it's tide. There was shovel and shown.
Okay. So nothing relevant. We're still in that 80% bullshit kind of
So
stuff.
when it comes up, do I need to say, hey, shovel him up or
No,
not?
no, I will come to you and say, hey, where are we at with that list? And I'll show you how to get to it. It's literally one button. And then there's another one to get back to it. So I say we go deep dive into history. You heard what?
Megan the Stallion.
Megan the Stallion. Exactly. This is the kind of things we're looking for, folks. Has anybody else heard anything?
Not yet.
I'm just going to write down the word stallion, and yes, writing in the dark is a new skill on my resume. So they teach you that when you get the master's program in creative writing. You can't read it, otherwise. So, all right, let's go learn some different history than football players and ponies. You guys ready for this? Yes. All right, we're going to follow me this way. Oh, Rachel, you got this. has coming in. I'm not the ghost. We have a little bit of a reading going on. It's pretty good. So let me get that one written down. So welcome to a beautiful space of Charleston, everybody. You're inside of a parking lot. How cool is that? Is this what you guys were hoping for, to see all the great parking lots of Charleston? I know, right? So this space actually used to be something, which is why we're here. So a couple of things before we actually get started. Cameras. There's vehicles in here. People do not like their cars to be filmed. They also don't like to be filmed themselves. If I do like an Andy's coming, like kind of mentality, like act casual, you're going to basically point your camera to the ground. So people don't like to be filmed. Yep, you can just exercise, just be casual. And then of course you have a cell phone, Patrick, so it's going to be nice and easy to kind of cover up like you're actually YouTubing right now. So again, I'll say don't be a YouTuber. You know, that kind of mentality. So again, people just don't like their cars to be filmed because basically the camera that Patrick has, if I was a car thief, that would be my first tool. Why? Because I know the heat signature based on how long that car's been here. So I know how long it's been here, and I'm going to target it. Anyway, not to give anybody any idea, right? So, spirit boxes, because all of them are in play tonight. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. Again, this is the first space where I will withhold information. So where are we? And that's like, yeah, you brought me to a parking lot. This is boring. So, this space used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant, the steeple over there, and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's where you're standing. So who the heck were these people? First off, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why I look for those secondary clues? I need to know who the hell we're talking to. So the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to actually move on. Eliza married Charles at a very young age according to today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she married him, it's not going to be like 12 and 14 like the colonial times that she came from. Make up today's standards when you're listening to those numbers and trying to give me answers. So the reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age. So even kind of a big age gap for back then as well as today. So with that, her father over in England thought he was dying. He was trying to bring all of his children home one last time before he died. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she married Charles to stay put. It was 1744. She didn't marry this guy out of a green card or citizenship. This was actually for love. Even after he died, because remember, he's over double her age, he went first. She did remain a widow the entire rest of her days. So this is a true love story. So, did you need a dressing room?
Yeah.
Sorry, I like to poke
I like
fun.
to do it.
I was trying to come up with a good joke while you were doing that, and I was too late. So, but anyway, let's get back to this. Where was I? I got lost.
True love story.
True love
He
story.
died. She's
Oh,
stayed
yeah,
widow.
yeah. So, Dad gets better. So she was right. He wasn't dying right away. He died a few years later. He starts sending her gifts from England to this space. You guys have been in town for at least an hour or so that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. One of the gifts that he sent her were the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes the blue jeans blue. Some of you are actually wearing it tonight because that's how we still use it today. When she got these seeds, she had no idea what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. She experimented with it right here on this space. Once she figured it out, to keep it going, because it's obviously not hot here all the time, we're throwing extra sweaters on. So she moves it to a plantation just north of here and calls her father up and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can actually make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So there's something absolutely unheard of. That is her business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why everybody's here. You want the weird stuff. So, first off, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. 5 months apart, no less. The first wife, Eliza, passes away in January of 1744. He marries the Eliza that I just told you about in May of 1744. Yeah. I don't know if that's really smart or really stupid, guys, so just put your spin on it. With that said, ironically, both Elizas, both wives, have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I don't think I have to explain what a maiden name is to this group, which is going to be super great. So there's certain things where I have to go a little bit further. But yeah, if you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask what her maiden name is. Hopefully you'll get the answer. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously see that because we're staring at a bunch of vehicles up front. You can ask what happened to the mansion, and then if you get an answer, what year did that happen? So notice these are very specific questions, not is somebody here, yes or no type questions. The children, I told you there's at least one. Charles, signer of the Constitution. There are more. You can ask how many did she have total and what their names are. But that's it. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop. Don't poke the bear and ruin the tour for everybody. I've seen it dozens of times. So even the little bit of EMFs that we're getting right now, they'll go away, and you guys won't hear a speck of anything that'll mean anything. Just putting it out there. Don't be that guy. I normally get a phone call after the tour. I'm sorry, but I poked the bear with the... I'm like, I already know. Like, I got this. So anyway, the names and how many she had total. Eliza's death is where she's really open. You can ask her what she died from, how old she was, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Again, very specific questions. If you decide to go rogue with your questions, feel free to do that. Make sure they're non-yes or no. Make sure it's something I can prove. If you're going after anything dealing with her servants and slaves, there's no records. I can't prove any of it. So if you get names while we're back here, I can't prove that that person specifically was one of her servants or slaves. Just kind of keep that in mind. We are going to explore this space. We are not going to go in between vehicles. We're going to stay within the confines of these walls. We're literally in the back corner. I'm trying not to wander where I can't keep an eye on everybody. Because what's going to happen from here is I'm going to literally be bouncing around with all of you. I do have to work with Matt first, so I can show him how to use that motion sensor and kind of see if he's getting any readings. But I'll be following up with pretty much everybody, seeing like what you guys are hearing, what's showing up on your cameras, that kind of thing. So lasers are safe here. You just want to make sure they stay, just when you're using both of them, put one on each toe. The slower you guys move in sync, the much easier of a video we're going to have throughout the night. So just so you guys know, it's much easier to capture things when we're moving slowly. Because if you're moving too quick, it just looks like dust flying through. So kind of keep that in mind. Did you accidentally turn it on?
No. Yeah, I felt like this to see if I was.
I thought I saw something like up in the tree, like a flash of something. I'm like, where did that come from? So in this space, we're going to spend about 10 minutes here kind of seeing what's going on. I usually do 2 round robins, writing down a lot of notes. And then based on what I see, I'll bring us back here. I'll give you all of the answers before we leave. I'm not going to leave anybody hanging. And then we'll kind of see what we capture. So though you have to attach yourself to somebody at this point, actually they would probably be good just because they don't have a spirit box. It's where they can listen in with you. And then we'll kind of take it from there. But everybody else that's spread out, Matt, you need to stick with me. Obviously, Susan, you're going to stick by him. So I'm going to bring you guys back here. Go have some fun. See what we can capture. So, have you seen any other numbers pop up right now? Right now, we're already it's also nice. That's good. So we had 15 show up on hers and 7 so far here. So yours is way more accurate. So I use hers kind of like, all right, this is like a band-aid, it's a wiring, so I've been playing one. That's it. So she's the same thing.
hearing anything?
Just occasionally, so I can't.
What'd you hear? What'd that say?
Love. Did you say love? I'm asking the maiden name.
All right. Start off with you two. How's your camera work going? Nice and slow? Thanks.
Trying to keep one of us, at least one of us in there.
Yeah, and we have a lot of pretty good temperature gauges in here, so it shouldn't be too difficult. How's your spirit box work going?
I'm hearing a lot of static right now, and occasionally something's trying to come through.
That is the hardest spirit box I have because it doesn't have an earbud.
Really? You said it was old.
Yeah, it's in
My
a lot.
daughter says that she's hearing a lot of piano.
Okay. I'm gonna catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
She'll tell me. But so far, have you heard anything pop out of it?
Like,
It's usually
love or long.
Okay. Love is pretty common here. Like we get that a lot.
So it was an L word because I kept saying, "What is your maiden name?"
Oh, okay.
The L you said
Right.
starts with an L.
Yeah.
What did you hear?
It was either love or long.
It's
I was hearing
incorrect.
love back there.
You heard love over there too?
Near the bottom.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. So what have you heard so far?
A lot of piano sound.
Okay.
Piano.
Well, again, it's going to make a loop around to all the stations like thousands of times tonight. So you're probably hearing the same song, strong signal. So it's a possibility. Have you heard any words or phrases that you can remember?
Like any important ones? Or like
Well, you're not going to know what's
anything?
important. If you hear "drop it like it's hot" or "buy a Kia today," I want to know you heard "drop it like it's hot" and "buy a
I've
Kia
heard
today."
anybody else.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Now you're getting the gist of it. Because again, I'm withholding information on purpose. So now you're getting
She
it.
heard
It's
that.
just back there. I wasn't really hearing piano sounds that much. It's just
This
when we
might be a
got-
stronger signal over here. So,
Oh, good.
all right, let me start following with everybody. See what we got
Thanks,
going
man.
on. You got it. Dad, you got anything?
Well, I like how it's not, every little thing is paranormal. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, he's not going to tell you it. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm glad it's, actually looking for specific things after it's all said and done, instead of just
And you're going to get all
anything
of
and
that
everything.
tomorrow. I
Yeah.
think it's cool.
Yeah.
Comes back to us.
It's not anything and everything. It's, There's Rachel. These had heat signatures or whatever.
So as you see her go through, right?
I'm looking for the. I think it says that one is tracking the coldest areas, and then that one's getting the warmest.
So
I imagine.
if you put it on somebody and then see that there's something next, you're going to see if something's next to them.
I guess.
I don't know. It's all.
It's like I told him, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. I'm just,
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll come.
yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing either.
Well, the trash can's pretty cold. What do you think, Ray? You hearing anything?
It's just hard to make stuff out, all the static. But I did hear none of it.
Yeah, tell him that. Yeah, make sure you tell him.
How are things going with y'all back here?
I think I accidentally hit the button to cut it off, but it's back on.
Yeah, we're gonna
recording
splice
again,
them all
so-
together, in the morning anyway.
Okay,
So
cool.
it doesn't matter how many little snippets you make.
Gotcha.
Have you getting any more? Have you heard any more words, phrases?
Like something that kind of sounded like none of your business. Kind of like that.
Okay.
It was very static. But that's what I could kind of make out.
Carol, anything on yours?
Not clear.
Okay. Alright, I'm just doing one more round robin with everybody, and then I'm going to pull us right back to where we started. So I just need to follow up with basically the camera and father-in-law. See how he's doing.
No, none. When I see it, that little thing move over to where it's cold, I have to make sure it's not on the sky, or it's not. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm trying to keep it pointed kind of downward.
Right.
Remember, you said keep it away from
Yeah,
the
the
sky.
sky.
Let's get you some action. Pull back. So we're going to leave that up. So, unless, of course, you're going to point it at the ground. If you're going to be comfortable, yeah, let's just do that. It's the little circle. It's the only button.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now it's
Okay.
done. All right, so I'm excited about a couple of things. Patrick, you can go ahead and cut your video off, so hit the square. Let's get started with what names we heard along the way. What do you guys got?
I didn't hear a name, but I heard money the second we walked down.
I'm not surprised. I think they were pretty loaded.
Mine said ask Adam.
This is good. cross that last crosswalk, by the way, this is a quiet area, so that's why I kind of asked them not to stay there long either. It's just a great space. It's just really good in general. Like normally it's empty tours. No other tours like to come down here except for the creepy gate. How cool is that on your audio, right? So, but anyway, this when we crossed that last crosswalk coming over, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So Charleston is called Charlestown. So it went up Cumberland, and I'm going to point that out again later on. I like to bring you here so you kind of get a basic gist of the geography of Charlestown. This is one of the first streets we ever had. That's why I like to bring you down here, because other tourists don't really like this space. There's not really much for them to talk about. But however, there's a lot of interesting history where we get activity on all of our devices. So people used to live here. That's why I was asking you for names. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. It sounds impressive, but it's not that lengthy of a list. Only because there's only like 2 to 5 people that live down here at a time. The names I commonly get, Benjamin and John, every 6 to 7 weeks, like it's on a loop. So we're going to get into that. This is not a space where we can actually ask questions like what we were doing at the Pinckney Mansion site. That's what we call an intelligent ghost. This is what we call a residual ghost. So basically, every 6 to 7 weeks, Benjamin and John show up. I know they're very common names, but that's 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. Every once in a while, I'll get a third name that somebody hears, and it's James. That's a third person that lived here in 1801. All right, any significant anything? There's a lot of creepy gates in this alley, apparently. It's just weird, because normally nobody's ever coming in and out of them. But that's a third person. That's, you know, again, I don't find a coincidence that every 6 to 7 weeks, and I can't pinpoint it to an exact time frame, or a moon phase or any kind of lunar whatever. It's just every 6 to 7 weeks. Unfortunately for us tonight, we're in week 1 going into week 2 of me keeping track of that loop for you. Was I expecting Benjamin and John? I wasn't. Here's why I think it's happening. The bricks you're standing on, these are Belgian blocks. They come straight from the earth. They're made of granite. So, if you are into the paranormal, which most of you seem like you are, you've heard the term limestone before. Limestone comes straight from the earth, which is what is supposed to cause more paranormal activity. Well, as does granite. It's been here for a couple of 100 years. It's supposed to hang on to the consciousness and memories and basically spit it back to us in any kind of type of recording. It's called the stone tape theory. It's a very interesting theory, but again, I have no other proof of it other than every 6 to 7 weeks, Benjamin and John show up. Oh, and by the way, there were 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time frame, so if we're ever confused, he will give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his name is John Johnson. So, do I know that there's an Adam? I don't. I know that there was an Alexander. So,
To ask him.
yeah, who the hell is that?
Maybe Adam knows.
Maybe Adam knows more, right? I'll be chatting with him later. So, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We do get a lot of terms wrapped around Freemasons. Just the other night, the minute I brought this up, the word symbols showed up on the word list just the other day. So we do get, you know, Illuminati has shown up here 6 times. So here's the weird thing about Illuminati. You guys are listening to radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? First off. And second, why am I only hearing it in this space? Again, 6 times last year, twice so far this year. Can't make this stuff up. They did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. They found some of the people's clothing, their tools, their silverware. They found these people to be lower class, and it makes sense. They were shotgun houses that were here. If you're unfamiliar with that, it's probably 1 to 2 rooms total for the whole house. It makes sense because on the other side of the wall would have been on the other side of East Bay Street from where we were walking. The smell of low tide would be coming down here quite often. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you've been down to the Battery, you notice the houses are skinny in the front and they go back long, right? There's a couple of reasons for that. First off, we have the front porch is on the side of the building with the front door. It's called a piazza. So it keeps the smell of low tide from coming in. They open up their 2nd story window. It brings the cool air in and the heat rises out. So it's old school air conditioning. The other reason for that is because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. The skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. We just talked about the Pinckney Mansion site. I want you to keep that in mind. The house sat broad against East Bay Street. First off, they're outside the city walls. The Pinckneys have their indigo money and their politician money, because all the Pinckneys were politician or ambassadors or something. So they had a lot of money. It was bragging rights to be able to show off their house that way. They wanted basically that ocean view, because again, we're only 1 block away from the water at that point. So, lots of interesting things here. I always lollygag on purpose, because again, it's not a space where we can actually ask questions in this location. We're waiting for recordings to pick things up, or spirit boxes to be able to tell us things right away in real time. I have caught a weird few shadows on the thermal imaging where things get cold really, really fast. So we've got that. That's happened here before. Again, interesting space. We like that steady reading you have
Solid
right now.
yellow.
It's from the building. I would still
'cause I'm
call
like,
a
as soon as I move it this way, it goes away.
yeah.
It's just like
Anything
right
I
here.
consider solid, I still call a rhythm. So your cell phone, for example, would put out a pulse. So it would actually like go into a rhythmic pulse.
Yeah.
But anything like that, it's coming from a building. So Matt, do you have anything on yours? Yeah. You're standing next to the building, but nobody's probably in that hotel room right now using electricity. So you wouldn't really get anywhere between like a 4 to a 6 here. Anything above that, I would kind of break down and see what's happening.
Another name came.
Haley, and let's speak tonight. He's going to put it out there. No, we're not going to do that yet.
Did you tell him?
Here's what's going to happen. What'd you hear?
I heard shut up, Michael.
Michael is somebody that lived here. I know that one for sure. Because Michael actually showed up here last night. So we're going to see if anything else. Because I have next to those list of names is their occupation. So I don't know what Michael did, but if he was a grocer or a baker or if he was just an angry person, we're going to write it down.
He was annoying. Belligerent. Shut up.
Oh God.
Maybe they're talking to me. Maybe I do need to shut the hell up and move So here's what's going to happen from here. I'm literally right on the edge of where the tour guides, probably not really a tour guide, is allowed to take you. Like, so we're going to go to another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. I have big picked out. So yes, you got like, oh, what happened there? We're going to talk about it once we get over there. I still tell the story of what goes on in that alley outside of it because we stir up a lot of things through the remainder of our time. It's very, very interesting that even 1 block away or 1.5 blocks away, we still get activity on spirit boxes from that alley after we start talking about it. Every tour goes down there, and we're actually allowed to go halfway. It's just not fair for my 10 people to try to investigate around groups of 20. So if there's 40 or 60 people down there and we're trying to investigate, it's just not fair to anybody, my group or theirs. So again, I tell the story outside of it, and we're going to get some cool footage with the cameras because we're going to be outside of it. You're going to be able to see the whole length of it, and if anything's actually passing through it with the thermal imaging and the spectrum. So we're going to get some good footage. As we exit the alley, we're cutting through a neighborhood, so definitely no videotaping. So we're going to shut off both video cameras, and lasers are still in their zone for a little while. So kind of keep that in mind. We're going to be cutting through that neighborhood. Okay, you just got to do a quick tap on that circle, and it should stop. It's not recording right now, so you're good.
Okay.
So as we exit the alley, if you want to continue recording, Patrick, by the way, you can. Just wait till we exit to shut it off. And then we'll go up to the next alley and see what happens. Spirit boxes, continue listening. Let me know what you guys hear when we get to the next space. Fair? All right, let's do this. Next spot. Different going through all this. Perfect. Yep, you got it. So they did not sign up to be filmed. Y'all did, but you didn't realize it. So that's why we're going to be very inconspicuous. I'll do my best to stay out of your way, Patrick. Just so I'm
You're
not,
fine.
trying to YouTube it kind of thing, but I have to bounce back and forth. So, welcome to Philadelphia Alley. I remember that one because that's exactly where Eliza's buried, is Philadelphia. So this used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. We all tell the story of one specific duel because we can actually prove it. I obviously tell the story a lot differently because you're ghost hunting. This isn't just a ghost story. You're going to need all of those specific clues and all the little details of the things that they're not telling you about. So, what do you have? You get
I
very...
just heard warriors.
Very interesting. I think I've had that here before. I'm not going to write it down yet, but remind me. So, here's how the story goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with that money, and he thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's cash, and he tells Amanda to get rid of him. So the doctor moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. He had a gunman inside of where he was supposed to be staying at, and he was going to rob and kill him. He just graduated med school. Looks like he's got a lot of cash. Somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. excuse me, I'm going to stop on Ralph for just a second because Ralph has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. RI shows up here all the time. So, with that said, I never know which one it belongs to because the doctor and Ralph are the two main characters. We always need that secondary clue. So, with that said, Ralph says, dude, you can't stay here. He's got a gunman inside. I know this guy. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room from them, and you'll be safe. You'll be good to go. So the doctor takes him up on the offer, and Ralph and the doctor become friends. The doctor's practice begins to take off. He's making his own money now. So with that, he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because Amanda's moving down soon. Now, every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I can almost guarantee you that. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Let's go with it. So Susan's like, yeah, I think I've heard a whistling ghost story before. But anyway, him and Ralph go see plays together, but the doctor gets better seats because he's part of the high society now. He's the doctor of the town, so he gets better seats. They talk about these plays on the way home. They start talking about William III and the actress that was in town. Sorry, she's very loud, and she's like interrupting. Did I say that out loud? I did, didn't I? So, William III from Shakespeare. The doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. So they start arguing. Then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here, so he goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this, meaning somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn around, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has this one shot. Sorry, Patrick, you're the dude in front of me. Puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. But the doctor doesn't die either. He falls to the ground. His friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, kind of keep that in mind. They say as you walk through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Keep in mind, whenever you're trying to voice record this from your phones and do it for yourselves to see if it's actually there, every local knows this story. Everybody walking up and down Cumberland or in Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. So I do it every single night on my way back to my garage. We end there, my garage is right there. So when my daughter's on the tour, we kind of race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So again, keep that in mind. It's not going to be it's not going to be that obvious. It's going to be very faint and in the background. I used to take my teams down there, and it was all about using the voice recorder to see if there's any whistles going through. Do you have something?
Something just whistled at the same time. It was like I can't even whistle, but it was like that.
So I will, because we're outside the alley, and I haven't caught anything on the voice recorder, nor have you, to be able to relay that back to me, but I have had songs come through that have whistling in them. What is that, Moves Like Jagger? It's all about whistling at the beginning of that. That's come through. And Guns N' Roses' Patience, I've heard several times, which has a lot of whistling in it. So the fact that you heard whistling is amazing, so thank you for that. We're probably going to have clues from this story for the remainder of our time together. So, y'all want to find out why I got kicked out of this place? Because that's the fun part, right? Yeah, that's the fun stuff. This alley didn't always come all the way through, so it was blocked off, which means the bricks on the other side are older. They're sun-dried bricks from slave children. So, very sad story, but there's a full handprint in one of those bricks and fingerprint swipes in a few of those bricks. And I would always point them out as we're going through the alley when I used to take my tours down there. So, one night, everybody wanted to put a spirit box, an EMF meter, or something around that brick, and I treat it the exact same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at a brick in the afterlife. There's no point for us to stop. It's just a matter of a point of history for us like that I would like to show off to show how far we've come. November 26th of 2020, my entire team of 10 decided to huddle around that brick. Well, it was outside a gentleman's dining room window. It was a beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. He was not very happy. So we come out. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting screamed at. Yeah. So we moved on. November 27th of that year was Thanksgiving. I was new at this. I'm going to take a holiday off because I worked retail for over 20 years and never had a holiday off. So I did not work on Thanksgiving, but November 28th, Friday, Black Friday, I have a full tour that night, but I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either reroute my tour or only go down halfway like everybody else. I'm like, well, that's not fair for my team, so I'm going to reroute. Decided I'm going to tell the story outside of the alley instead. So that night, tickets for much cheaper, and I told my folks, we're going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. I can't wing it anymore, not at these prices, right? I need to know what the hell I'm talking about. So I did not tell my folks what we're going to be talking about, but I did tell them we're going to be discussing pirates. And I'm not a pirates person, I'm a vampire guy through and through. I didn't even believe the story that I'm going to tell you later on. But on the way, somebody hears the name Anne. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When we get there, after I tell what I know about Anne Bonny, which was very little, somebody hears the number 300. I have no idea what the hell the number 300 means in this space, but I wrote it down and I decided to research it the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I take my folks back there night after night in hopes that we'll capture more evidence. That is a hit or miss location. We either get a ton or we get nothing. The good thing about that location is because of the amount of research that I've done for it, the story is fantastic. So that way, at least you have a very thrilling story to go along with what we're going to be investigating. Where we're going from here, we're going to go up around St. Philip's. We're going to get close to the cemetery. I'm going to see what's going on with the spirit boxes. This is where I let the evidence lead me along the way. The fact that you heard whistling is pretty amazing stuff. Has anybody else seen anything, heard anything? Susan, you got anything?
I heard Alley like twice.
Alley twice.
I heard Losers Alley and just Alley.
That's amazing. Like, that's good stuff. You got anything else? Carol? I know you've been listening to me. Susan, what was the last word on there? Step.
There's also some other names. I think a lot of names. Lillian, my mother, Angelina.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Ron.
But you have step.
Step.
So the interesting thing about step is you have to take X amount of steps in a duel. So if somebody has that specific number based on the rule book of dueling, then I'll be very excited. So most people think it's 20 paces. It's actually 10 paces in the opposite direction. So it's 20 total. So again, yeah, I do my research. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing out here.
I know
I
random
have my
facts.
antenna on.
I don't want to chill.
We're going to actually use that at the very last space. So we got like one more little stop that we're going to
So
do.
this is where you're not allowed to go down. People are walking there, but they just know you. They don't want you down.
Yeah, I'm not going to get caught again.
Up there on the back wall.
I know, right? Probably should be. So, whistling. Loser's Alley. I like that. That's pretty cool. And then Alley again. Yeah, I think we're good. So, we can stop the recordings if you want. Kind of give yourself a little break. How are we doing on the temp? What do we got? Matt, you got the temperature on yours too, buddy. What's that lower number?
79.3.
Yeah, I thought I got warmer. Because I think we're at like 73 over at the Pinckney Mansion site. It's just weird.
Yes, we were lower. We were like 77.
Yeah, this is warm. So, with that...
Earthquake. Yes, earthquake.
Earthquake bolts. What the heck are those? So basically they're turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886 that I mentioned at the top of the tour, it's supposed to turn them and it will straighten the building back up again. You turn them day by day and it's supposed to, help with some of the damage. So it's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So earthquake bolts, yeah. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't work. I talked to a lot of Californians. They're like, yeah, that's bogus. That stuff doesn't work. The reason I bring these ones up is because this is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. The reason why is this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So you guys have seen earthquake bolts all over town. You just didn't realize it. They're lion heads and pineapples and Charleston Charm kind of stuff. Yeah. Even the apartment building behind the powder magazine has earthquake bolts. They're just like peach squares. So as we get closer, you'll be able to see them.
Right.
So, but this building is very significant. We're here because it's a familiar. So it's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. This is the same time frame as it was being built that Anne Bonny started her career here. So let's give you a little bit more history of the building just because for fun. So the walls that we talked about earlier at Lodge Alley, right? The Charlestown walls, this is Cumberland. This is where it came up. So it went up past the powder magazine and started going south towards the battery. It fortified it right into the furthest corner that they could still protect it. The reason why is because it's 3 blocks away from the water. If pirate ships or Revolutionary warships are going to try to attack it from the water, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. So basically, we're going to pretend that it actually went through and blew up the gunpowder. Underneath those shingles, there's sand from the early 1700s that is there because if it actually gets attacked, the sand will go up in the air because it can't go out the 32-inch thick walls and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea that doesn't work. Imagine that. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It actually did get hit. The sand went up, but the building burned to the ground, and it doesn't exist anymore. This one's just never been attacked. It served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War was its last servant. just so everybody has the history of it. So now that you know that this building is from the same time period, this building actually took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. Not at all. So, 1703 to 1713. That's because your antenna's not up. That's probably what.
You know what I'm doing? Because we're going to start, I'm going to do that.
That'll work for me too. 1703 to 1713 is a construction time. Our story actually begins in 1708, right smack in the middle of it. So, follow me. There's a lot of twists on this one. You ready, Carol? She's like, I've got my ears pierced. Let's do
I'm
this.
like, I heard 43.
1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
The three of them are running away from his wife. How bad is it? He's got to leave his country and get on a boat to come here because his wife is pissed off.
That's a
Just
mad
saying.
Irish woman.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So, they land in Georgetown, just north of here, between here and Myrtle Beach, if you're unfamiliar with South Carolina. Dad buys a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Anne, back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only like 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Sorry, Rachel, but you were right next to me. So who did I kill earlier? Oh, I got you both. Look at that, because I killed you with the gunshot on the kneecap. So, Maggie's like, you're just killing everybody. So, but anyway, just wanted to have that mentality as we kind of go through this story that Anne is kind of hardcore, right? So we're going to fast forward. So I normally tell the cameras to go up there so we can get us some footage. But yeah, we're going to get close to the power magazine and see if you're the right person. So what do you think, Dad? Can you capture some ghosts?
Did he say you go out and go up around there? Well, that's where the powder magazine is. As far as I know. Well, he said you'd actually exit out this way and go around.
What is this? Is that a gift shop?
Oh. It says museum and gift shop. I don't know. I guess they're... Is that supposed to smell
I'm
like
okay now,
gunpowder
but I felt nauseous a few seconds
over
ago.
there? I did. I smelled it as I was walking past over there. Weird.
Just the fact that you got Irish, I'm excited about. But you have a specific location and direct answer. Like, that's
So I'm supposed to smell gunpowder outside that thing?
No.
You smelled it?
Yep.
That's cool.
Actually smells like it's burning. That was funny as I was walking back this way.
Sorry, just writing little notes to myself because it's not a what was heard on the spirit box, so I have to like highlight it
Oh, yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
Keep going. This is not the thinking. So if you get anything, very exciting. Yeah.
Heard anything, Ray? Sure, if you hear anything, let him know. Because I just told him about smelling the gunpowder outside the thing there. I said, "Am I supposed to be smelling that?" It was like really quick and then really gone, like quick.
I feel nauseous though.
You do?
Yeah, it's been off and on.
What were the key words? Jack, dog. Jack. Where's Jack? Pirate Jack. You okay?
I just heard that thing say "and."
I heard the word Beatrice and Duchess.
I just heard yours say "and."
Anne?
Not at the same time, but like separately.
You heard Anne.
I heard "and."
Anne? I asked for that a few minutes ago.
You gotta let him know.
Pirate. Cool. You heard Anne.
I heard "and." I mean, while I was standing right here next to you.
You got Anne.
You got Ann?
Yep. I got her. I asked for her. Okay.
No, you got anything back there? Nothing coming through? I want to pull this all together because there's a lot going on. Definitely keep that on.
He doesn't sound like anything. I smell gunpowder. I didn't smell it. I wouldn't smell it.
Yeah, I mean, I was out all the way around the outside there in front of that.
I didn't either.
It was really
All I
quick.
smell
It was like, and then gone.
I know. It's all I smell around this town.
Oh, they don't have to put the bags on the horses.
Yeah,
Right? Boston would never allow that.
So, pretty stoked. Like, we have a lot going on right now, and I do want to keep a couple of these devices going. You're getting a little bit of a blip, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The first time I've seen in a while then.
Yeah, so this is, again, not the Pinckney Mansion site, so I don't expect a lot of EMF readings. So if something does occur, I'm very excited. We had the word war show up on Susan's list, so I'm definitely going to be looking for the number 7 relative to how many wars this building actually served in. So again, 7, you'll hear on the audio why it's always relevant in this location, but from Philadelphia Alley to here, 7 shows up all the time. There's a lot of relative things, but I always need a secondary clue, like wars, to be able to verify what's actually going on.